We're live. I can see the live button over there.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are still 1 minute before the time, so we will wait for 1 minute for the audience to join us, and then we'll be starting our webinar sharp at 2 p.m. Malaysian time.
Are there actually any other students who are not in Malaysia?
Yes, we have international students who are in their home country, and they will be joining us from different time zones.
I see.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar titled Digital Revolution Post-COVID-19. We all are living in unprecedented time. The things have changed drastically in the last 3 months. In fact, the financial institutions, including accounting and financial services, were going through a lot of transformation over the last few years. But the pandemic has changed the overall setup. Now the financial institutions are more prepared or more eager to move on to the digital technology, which is changing the requirement of the financial industry, along with the people who are going to work or who are currently working in that. I'm your host for the today. My name is Dr. Nafis Alam, and I'm the head of School for Accounting and Finance at Asia Pacific University. My area of interest also in the corporate finance, financial services, banking regulation, and definitely in fintech. Today we will be discussing on what's happening in the area of financial services. Definitely, the 2008 financial crisis has prepared banks for a large-scale disruption, but the pandemic has brought us to a more challenging situation. The banking and the financial services are going through the resilient time, and they are supposed to respond to the immediate challenges. The digital revolution has created a furor across all the financial services, and that's giving us an idea how we are going to transform the existing financial services. Today, we have been joined by the experts in the area of fintech, financial services, and accounting, who will be taking through us a journey to prepare us for the next revolution in the financial services. Please allow me to welcome the panelists for the day, and I will take you through their brief introductions. So we have been joined by Mr. Waiken, who is the country manager at Stashaway. Waiken, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thank you, Waiken. Waiken is have a distinguished career in the area of finance. He studied economics and finance from University of New South Wales, and he has worked as an investment associate at Khazanah National, followed by 4 years at Affing Hawan Capital. With the establishment of Stashaway in the region, Waiken got an opportunity to work with the Stashaway, and now he's leading the development of Stashaway in Malaysia. If those who are not aware about Stashaway became the first company to receive a digital investment manager license from the Security Commission. So if you are looking at the robo advisory or on the digital investment, Stashaway is the company to look forward for. They also offer robo advisory services, and they have a basket of US listed exchange traded funds, which will be looking at different risk profile based on the market allocation. So good to have you, Waiken, on our panel today. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Ramnath Sundaram, who is a partner at the Versa Group. Hi, Ramnath.
Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Thank you, Ramnath. I'm good. Ramnath is a chartered accountant and began his career in Deloitte with the audit division. and he has looked after the sovereign and financial institution rating sphere within the RAM rating. He has taken a 1-year sabbatical to pursue his master's in finance and management from Cranfield University, and now he is a fellow of Association of Chartered Certificate Accountant (ACCA) and is a qualified CIFP, Chartered Islamic Financial Professional. So Ramnath comes with the experience in both accounting and finance, including the fintech domain. So good to have you, Ramnath, on a session today.
Thank you, Doctor.
Finally, I would like to introduce Chun Hao, who is from High Pines Consultancy, Barhad, who is the Managing Director for the High Pines. Hi, Chun Hao.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Chunao. Good to have you. Chunao is a member of Malaysian Institute of Accountant and is also a certified financial planner. And he has a working experience of 15 years for both SMEs and multinational companies as a corporate auditor, IT auditor, and head of finance operation. He is a senior financial analyst and a sales team lead in this profile. His experience include retail, wholesale, financial planning, IT hardware, audit, as well as the banking, financial institution, and oil and gas. So we can see that we have a good depth and breadth in terms of the experience, and it will be interesting to see how we are going through the digitization and trying to overcome the challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's start the discussion with the panel on the flow of the day to day. So first of all, I will ask Wyken, because some of the audience here might not be completely aware about what is fintech all about. So if you can give a brief description how fintech is different from traditional financial services, Wyken?
Yeah, thanks, Doctor. I just wanted to say hello to all the students listening all around the world. And when the adults say these are unprecedented times, it means that we don't know what's going on. So it's really up to you as students to innovate and really find ways to overcome new challenges, right? So coming back to the question about how is fintech actually different from financial services, traditional ones at least. So the term fintech is actually new, but actually the financial industry has been very used to innovating. If you think about the ATM and how we can just take out money without going into a branch, if you think about online banking, transferring money online, that is all technology. It's just that fintech came around as a term because more and more applications and technology was being applied to very specialized ways in finance. So this huge umbrella term fintech got invented, and basically it highlights new ways of people accessing financial services. So new way of investing your money, new way of making payments, like with QR codes and e-wallets, new ways if you're a SME to raise cash, to raise capital, right? You have P2P lending and equity crowdfunding, which is new, and then new ways for businesses and also individuals to actually get insurance. So all these kind of specializations is all well and good, different business models and all the rest, but as a beneficiary, it really comes down to the customer, the individual customer or the business customer, right? The customer basically gets to access financial services at a much lower cost and much more efficiently as well. So I guess it really depends on how you are asking the question, what is fintech and how it's different. But if you ask it from a consumer point of view, all you have to do is understand how it benefits you and how it's different from what it used to be in the market. Don't worry about all the jargon and all that. If the mission really resonates with you and it gives you better choice, better access, better products, then ultimately you get interested in and you learn along the way. But really, fintech is just the extension of financial services, and it's being done by new firms, not traditional banks. Doctor, you want to continue?
Yes. So basically, the fintech is getting more popular, especially after the advent of what we are going through, the COVID-19 pandemic. Because in the last few months, most of us have not been to the financial institution physically. We have been working through remotely. We have been doing our activities remotely via home or through the digital channels. So do you think that the COVID-19 has in fact increased the importance of the fintech in the current scenario? Wyken?
Yeah, it definitely has, because the traditional banks really rely on physical branches and agents to actually look to do business. But because of COVID, obviously, social distancing is the new norm. So, doing everything online and via your mobile is the default way of doing things, going cashless. So it's really had to force banks to really digitize as quickly as possible. And for fintech companies like ours who have been digital from day one, it's a real luxury because we don't actually have to change our business. We don't actually have to incur new development and new costs to actually change the business. So in that sense, we've been able to grab market share and actually extend our services as usual in an efficient way through this crisis. But necessity is the mother of innovation, right, as they say. So really, it takes a big situation like COVID, like the financial crisis in 2008 to really spur about change.
Thanks, Vaiken. We always relate fintech with the financial services, but we understand that accounting it itself is an important component of the overall financial ecosystem. So if I look into from the accounting perspective, Ramnath, how fintech is impacting the overall accounting domain, both from the users as well as from the consumer perspective?
Yeah, good afternoon again, Doctor. Hello, everyone. Regarding your question, Doctor, I think if anything, the situation that we have now, it has, like Wyken said, accelerated traditional accounting firms as well. It has impacted traditional accounting firms and their clients as well as their staff. Previously, where accounting firms were very resistant to technology, now we are actually embracing it. And I think if anything, COVID has accelerated that situation for traditional accounting firms to embrace this technology. So more and more of our colleagues, our staff, are using this technology freely, and we can see a change in the mindset of the consumer as well, of our clients who are willingly accepting this moving forward. This is the new norm for traditional businesses such as ourselves. So rather than fighting it, I'm glad to say that both firms as well as clients have actually gone on and embraced the technology, embraced this change that has suddenly befallen us in the last 3 months. So I view it as a good way forward, where accounting firms who were maybe behind in technology are quickly catching up with it.
So do you think that the accounting firms are at par in terms of the application of the technology compared to the financial services institution? The accounting activities are also taking the same leap as the financial institutions?
Yes, they are, because right now clients and consumers are able to get their accounting data at their fingertips. So at any one point of time, I mean, what jargon was once upon a time strange to an accountant, like cloud, software, are all now nomenclature already. So it is something that moving forward, it is going to be accelerated, and it is just a matter of time. I think this was actually the push that traditional accounting firms in Malaysia required, because if we are looking at regionally, Singapore is ahead of us in this aspect, and with this, the acceleration is there, and I think it is a matter of time. 2020 is when traditional accounting firms come out from the back and search for.
Thank you, Ramnath. Keeping with the theme, because a lot of things are happening in terms of the accounting operation. So now, do you think that the digitization is becoming a very important competitive factor for accounting firms? They have to digitize. It is the need of the time.
Hi everyone. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, in my opinion, accounting firm in Malaysia, as I have trained quite a number of them, I noticed for their adoption of accounting solution, which is mainly on the cloud, they seems to be more resistant, right? I started, got aware about cloud accounting, especially this product QuickBooks Online, since 2014. So during that year, I noticed that, hey, all of a sudden, accounts can be done online, right? The minute I saw that, I saw the world of accounting is going to be changed. So Intuit, the owner of QuickBooks, engaged me as a trainer, and it was the right timing because it was pre-GST era and everyone is looking for it. But during that time, a lot of companies, especially accounting firm, reject the idea of going online or going to cloud. They have no idea what is cloud. They don't feel safe. Why is my accounting data put it online? Everyone doesn't feel safe. So during that year, it was really hard to get people to accept online. But as time goes by, when their friends start to use online like Google Drive, so on and so forth, then they start to explore about cloud or online accounting. And they realize that, hey, things that I've been doing for days, I can do it within a few hours only. Why is it possible? Because in online or cloud accounting, there are a lot of automation available. So give you an example, in accounting, accountants or the staff, we always do one thing that takes most of our time. That is bank reconciliation or bank matching. So think about it, like stash away, let's say, if let's say we have a lot of collections coming in, which is very common for Malaysian businesses, SME. So if let's say I run a training, everyone pay me 100 ringgit for my webinar and everyone transfer online. If I were to use the legacy accounting system, how do I do matching? I will take out the bank statement manually, hard copy. I look at the system, I go in and tick one by one. And my bank statement, I have to tick it manually using pen and paper, right? Cut it out. That's the old way of doing accounting. We've been doing this for years, for many years, right? I started my accounting job in 2001 with Metro Jaya Berhad that time. And I was doing this kind of thing, just take me days just to do bank record. But in today's environment with all this cloud and online accounting software, all this can be automated. Why? It has that capability of performing auto matching. So if let's say Ram pays 100 ringgit to me from his company Versa, it will appear inside the bank statement, and the bank is integrated with this cloud solution. Immediately it comes into my accounting software. Immediately it's auto matched by itself, and it will tell me Versa paid 100 ringgit for this invoice 1234, which is also matched against the invoice that I created within the accounting software. Done. All I need to do is just click confirm. That's all. So how much time can we save by using all this cloud and online accounting software? Days. Just to do one accounts with 200 transactions, instead of spending 5 days, I can complete within 4 hours. And this is real experience that we experience. So for accounting firm to move to the cloud, it has tons of benefit, right? And the biggest benefit that a lot of firms that can't see is this. When you move online, you are actually opening up tons of opportunities for your firm, right? Why? Because from now, I can provide my accounting service or advisory service online to anyone in the whole world, anywhere, anytime. So think about it. I even have customer from Labuan. I have customer from US, even Singapore engaging our service. Why? Because they want everything to be done online and increase the efficiency and productivity as well.
So basically, we are looking at how digitization has helped the efficiency, timeliness, and connectivity across all the different sectors. Thank you, Chun Hao, on that. Waiken, I just want to come back to you again, because sometimes banks or the financial institutions are also digitizing their services, and they're also competing with the fintech platform. Yourself is also one of the fintech platform. So when it comes to the digitization of the financial services and competing with the fintech platforms, what are the digitization activities banks or financial institutions are taking to overcome these challenges with the fintech platform?
Yeah, I think if you are a fresh graduate in the next coming years, and if you get a job at a bank, one of the more exciting areas that you can actually look to join is the digital innovation side of these banks. So what they're basically doing is twofold. So if you look at a traditional bank, they will look at opportunities in these two ways. So the first one is to reduce costs, and the second one is to offer services to grow their revenue or access new markets. So for the reduction of cost side of things, it is a very, very big motivator for a lot of banks. So you might be put on projects to maybe reduce branches or reduce headcount to basically digitize a lot of the things that can be automated. But it's also more exciting to kind of join the part where you grow revenue and not just cut costs, right? So when you look at growing revenue, it's looking at the existing products that the financial services company, that the bank is offering, whether it's insurance or unit trust or CASA, savings accounts, and looking to extend that online. So if you talk to different banks will have the different perception of how digital they are. So don't just take all the stuff that they say online and say, oh, this bank is digital, that one is not so digital. If you have friends in these firms, in these banks, let's go and talk to them and say, are these firms really innovative or not? Or is it just a show? A lot of the times it's just a show because it's a very trendy thing to say that we are digitizing and we are cool, we are doing a lot of things. Sometimes this bank even said, we are so digital because we offer iPads in our branches, right? That's not digital at all. That is maybe reducing costs by cutting one teller or two tellers, right? So you've got to look beyond that and really ask yourself how you want to be in position for the future, right? That's very important for fresh grads because where you are in positioning yourself will determine where you are most valuable going into the future. So if you're looking at traditional banks, their digitization department and all that, try and find out more and more because they are doing a lot of things to cut costs and also increase their revenue. At the same time, there are also fintech native platforms like Stashaway who have been digital from day one. There are a lot of e-wallets out there. There are a lot of payment companies out there that start being digital from day one. The challenge there is very different because you're not really looking at reducing costs because cost is already very low. You started from scratch, but you're looking at new ways of spreading your product and selling your product or distributing your product. Because in the traditional sense, when you say distribution of product, people think agents and branches. And then they think like, I'm online because I have a website already, or I have an app already. In this day and age, that is just not enough. There's just so much more investment and talent required to do digital marketing, user research, designing the apps of the future to really connect with the customer. So to summarize, you really have two big choices, whether you want to start with a digital native or whether you want to go to a bank. If you want to go to a bank, make sure you are positioned in the digital side of things because that is the future. And obviously, make sure that it's what they're doing is real. It's not just what they say.
So coming back to your view on the digital native and the traditional retail banks, do you think that the fintech platforms one day will take over all the financial services and bank will be the thing of the past?
I don't think so because I really think it's about making the pie bigger. Of course, I want to take on the banks. Of course, I want them to all disappear tomorrow. I don't like if there were banks on this panel, I would say, no, we are friends, we are complementary, we can hold hands, we can be partners. But of course, I want to take on the banks. I want to take all their business. But the real truth is that the market is massive and there are different segments of customers that appeal to digital. So B2C, for example, like us, we go and buy credit cards or we go and get insurance. We want it to be as digital as possible. But like Chun Hao and Ramnath mentioned just now, there are firms who are quite traditional and they want to take loans with a loan officer, with a relationship manager who understands their needs. So as the need of the customer becomes more and more complex, you will still rely on traditional methods. So that's why I think banks are still here to stay. It's just that their customer arm, their retail arm will become more and more digital. B2B is more difficult to digitize.
Thank you, Aiken. I think at this stage, people have got a feel of what is fintech all about and how it is transforming the accounting as well as the financial services. The second theme which we were supposed to talk about in this webinar was to look into the skills and the graduates who are going to work in these industries. So I will go through all of the speakers, but first I want to start with Ramnath and to ask him that how the technology is impacting the skills needed to work in these industries, accounting as well as financial services, and whether the current graduates are competent enough or knowledgeable enough to work in the changing phase of the accounting and financial services. Ramnath, please.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. I think with the current graduates, everybody is tech savvy. It is something that's not really a problem. Syllabus-wise, when you do ACCA and these professional qualifications that you do, they are not as of yet IT centric. As such, they don't give emphasis on that. I think the role of the accountant is also going to change when tech comes into play, because with what they are currently doing, or what rather traditional accounting firms are currently doing, is the accountant or the degree holder that comes in is a person who does routine work, who does keying in, we need to transform that to a value add. We require the consumers, our clients, to view accountants as value adds. And that is where fintech would help. If softwares actually help solve these problems, where we do not need to hire staff to basically do data entry, the accountant or the graduate would find himself or herself in a situation where they add value. That means interpret the financial statements, allow the client sight into what is it that they can do to value add to the client's business itself. How would they go about increasing revenue? How would they go about reducing costs? All of this would then switch the view for a client as to how they view it, not merely as a cost center, but also as a value add center. And I think this can only be done, and this is the right time to do it, because you have all these great products that are available to you. But more importantly than that is the mindset change that requires to come with the educational platforms. Universities need to be more open to tech. And an accountant right now is viewed as someone who is not tech savvy. And that has to change. That mindset has to change. It's not all about debits and credits. It is about engaging with the customer. It is about engaging with the client. And, the flavor, for Malaysians or Asians in general, yes, tech platform is important. But then also what is equally important is face time with your client, showing to your client that you are adding value to the job that they have given to you.
I understand your concern, Ramnath, and I just want to highlight in that regard, that's one of the reasons as the head of the school, I have taken the initiative at the School of Accounting and Finance at APU, that we introduce technology aspects of accounting and finance across all programs. It's not only the fintech program which we have, we being the first university to have the fintech program for our bachelor's banking and finance. We also introduced essentials of fintech across all accounting specialisms. So at least they have the knowledge. And as you mentioned, that the technical expertise, at least at the entry level, is very important for the graduates to come in. Thanks for your view on that, Ramnath. There was a question earlier to Vaiken, and I think that is what relevant what we're talking about. What skills you are looking forward in the finance graduates, especially with the changing trend in the financial services? What type of skills they need to acquire when they're venturing out in the financial services?
Yeah. So for those of you who are learning how to code or learning about cybersecurity, I know APU has a very big faculty in cybersecurity. I think you're already very well positioned because you're basically taking the languages you've learned and applying them to solving problems in the financial industry space. For me, I didn't start off with the whole learn to code mentality because I'm not young anymore, but I came up with actually a lot of relatively good soft skills, which I think is something that any student needs to develop. And you only develop this by applying yourself through different platforms, whether it's in class, whether it's through societies, whether that's internships. You need to develop this capital. So soft skills are really important. As country manager of StashAway, I don't code, obviously. I have a tech team that does that. But I find myself having to do three main things every day which require these skills. So the first thing is problem solving. It sounds very ambiguous, but in the fintech world, there's a lot of problems, not to say bad problems, but challenges. So for example, how do we create portfolios that enable people to invest with many asset classes and in a global way, right? So you then go about having to solve those problems, right? It's like, okay, we can use ETFs to put portfolios together. Okay, that's one. Number two, how do you actually implement that? Like, we need a foreign broker because the rates are better and then the exchange rates are better. So how do we operationalize the whole thing? Solve one problem at a time and try and make it as efficient, as cost effective for the customers. So offering something and having an idea is very different because you need to put the idea to work. Okay, so that's problem solving. We are faced with that a lot. And you can only really build on your problem solving skills by being able to critically think and face the problems and understand the applications out there, so you can actually overcome that challenge and make something work in real life, not just on a piece of paper, right? So problem solving is the first one. Second thing is communication, because there are so many departments within Stashaway and whatever firm you join. So you as a business person might be talking to someone in tech, and the person in tech may not understand the business challenges. And then you also need to talk to operations and customer service and compliance. So the ability to communicate and understand all those angles is incredibly important, because different people have different skill sets and they might not think that certain things are as important unless you communicate otherwise. So learn as much as you can how to not just conduct public speaking, which is one skill, but also to kind of take different things and make decisions in a good way, efficient way. That's comes down to communication. The third thing, which I think is also what every businessman has done time immemorial, is business development. Sometimes people don't really like the word sales, but business development is so important, because without revenue, no business will survive, and you ultimately need to bring in revenue. So learning how to find opportunities to position yourself, build relationships and trust, to then say, look, there's ways we can work together and we can both benefit each other. That's still also very, very important. And ultimately, those skills will help you grow your business. And that's what most entrepreneurs are tasked with doing, right? So just to sum it all up, that's business development, that's communication, and problem solving.
Vaiken, as an academic, I always hear this comment from a successful fintech startups, that in order to run a successful fintech startup, you need to have brains who are a tech guy, completely coding and programming guy. You need to have a good finance guy. You need to have a good marketing team. As yourself, as a country manager of Stashaway, do you think this proposition holds good for fintech startups?
Of course, you really need very good people coming together, because fintech firms tend to be very small, and you have to be as good as 10 people on the bank side, right? So someone your age or someone who is maybe 5 years older, you need to be 10 times better, because one person has to replace a whole department. So absolutely, I agree with you.
Thank you. Chunhao, we always see that in consultancy that things are evolving. You're not only looking at one aspect of consultancy. It can be across the auditing, accounting, it can be financial restructuring, and so on. So what are the skills needed for people who are not into coding or not into very tech, but still having the background of finance and accounting? And how does this supplement the tech aspects of it while consulting the firms?
Well, in our company, we do hire graduates from various big backgrounds, namely accounting. We have quite a number of. I myself is an accountant. Well, let's look at 10 years ago, let's say in 2001, where I graduated. Back then, what kind of IT skill do we need? All we need to know is Windows 98. That's all we need to know. And you're already very tech savvy, right? But in today's world, it's totally different. What you need to do, you need to know Microsoft for sure, right? Excel, Word, PowerPoint. All these are fundamental skills that you must have. If during your studies you still haven't learned, my advice is please go and learn, because you definitely use all this, right? And then going forward, as an accountant, the data entry job is slowly moving away. Why? Because software is able to replace all these data entry jobs. And what is left for the accountants or accountants to be? The things like what Versa Ram has said, you need to provide value-added service. So what kind of value-added service that you need to do? You need to have analytical skill, you need to be able to communicate to your client. Why? Because accounting jargons, not many people can understand. So what is debit credit? What is balance sheet? What is cash flow statement? You need to explain in a term that non-accountants can understand. And the people that we engage in, they can be from anywhere in the world. Like I mentioned, when you go online, your customer is all over the world. It's no longer just Malaysia, right? So the skills other than all this analytical skill, communication skill, presentation skill is very important, right? Why? Because nowadays everything is on webinar. You need to talk to client. You need to do a demo. You need to close sales. Everything you need to present. So if you can't communicate clearly and accurately, sometimes it confuses the client. There you go. Then that's it. So gone are the days where you, as an accounts person, once you graduate, you can sit in one corner, just do data entry and bookkeeping. That's what I did last time when I graduated. Those days are gone. You cannot have those kind of job anymore. The job that you come in straight away, your employer will be asking you, hey, I'm giving you this set of data. You need to help me to analyze and come up with a ratio and, give me some information that I need to present to the customer and advise them. So during MCO, we did that. Some of our customers come back and say, hey, what can I do? Oh, don't worry, I have your online data. So let me go in, log in, have a look, do some analysis. This is my report. Another skill is report writing. You need to present to your customer in a proper, nice looking report. It's not just Excel, that's it, right? You need to present it in a very presentable manner. So all these skills are very important in the future. The lower level skills are gone. You can't do data entry. So you have to focus on things that act like an accountant, provide a value-added service.
Thank you, Chunhao. Those students who are listening to all of us, you should take the key messages here. Gone are the days we are only looking at the conceptual knowledge. You need to have 3 important skills, as mentioned by our panelists. You need to have a good communication skill, good analytical skill, and good problem-solving skills. And that can be only supported if you are also looking at the technology aspect of the accounting and finance and moving away just from the conceptual knowledge. This is from the graduate perspective, what companies are looking at. But one of the audience here, Weng Law, has asked that, especially to Ramnath, how has local audit firm adapted to digital technology? Has the shift to digital audits commenced, and what do you see as the obstacle from the firm level perspective?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Local audit firms adapted to digital technology. I think apart from the big 4 or the big 8, for smaller firms, we are talking about maybe a 50-man firm or a 60-man firm. It is still capital expenditure is an issue. I mean, that is number one. The second thing is the mindset change, and the mindset change is two-pronged. One from the client's perspective, and one the employees of the firm themselves. So we need to have that paradigm shift, and it needs to occur now if we want to embrace this technology. So these are the challenges that I see that is happening in the financial, in the audit firm landscape. If you are a big 4 or a big 8, I don't see this as being a problem. But if you're in the smaller tier firms, in the small, medium-sized practices, this is the real obstacle: cost and mindset. And moving forward, is that going to change? I think with the advent of more and more newer technology, costs can still be managed. It will be manageable, because the tech sector would come out with very creative ways of making sure that payments are made. That capital costs incurred by the firm is not as heavy on the firm. But more importantly, will the mindset be changed? Will the mindset of the traditional auditor and the traditional client, how do we go about changing that? That is a question that I think will take time. It will happen, but as you know, transformation, Rome wasn't built in a day, and transforming individuals' mindset will take time.
Definitely. So we are on the track, but it will still take time to transform completely. Keeping with the theme, and I think we are getting some interesting question here. Waichen, a question for you also again. Mohammed Nasir is asking that what segments in digitized finance business could be chased by fresh graduates, because banks are always looking for experience. But if someone to have start a fresh graduate, which segment they should look to work in to further enhance their career options?
Okay, thanks Nasir for that question. So if you're a fresh grad and you have a finance and accounting background, I think what you first need to show these fintech or innovation departments in the banks is that you really have a good pulse on what's going on in technology. So when you show up to the interview, don't just say that you like digital stuff and innovation and expect to be handed a job. You really need to show that you have been immersed in it, right? So what you can do is you can actually try using some of these digital services so you actually have a feel for what they do. And these are not things that are hard to access, right? So just things like e-wallets or an investing service like ours or P2P or equity crowdfunding. It's not difficult. So you really know what you're talking about when you're in there. But there are also some generalist roles where they still need people who maybe don't have a technical expertise or years of experience with relationships. And that's things in business development where it requires someone quick and someone who can adapt to the situation, who can help the people in that department. So the key word here to look out for is the word partnerships, because banks and different fintech companies have always tried and expanded themselves. And the way they do that is via partnerships with existing fintech companies or digital companies. We ourselves do a lot of partnerships. So if you go on LinkedIn and you type in partnerships and look at all these big fintech companies, you'll see that it's a title that is quite established already. And for someone who's a generalist and you're looking to gain experience, it's actually a very fun way of immersing yourself into this way, because you can see how your firm is going to work with different stakeholders and different companies to actually get things out there, right? Including e-commerce companies, payment companies, traditional companies, anything, right? Partnerships is a very big, ambiguous space where generalists can join, learn a lot, actually have a lot of fun along the way.
Thank you, Waiken. Chunhao, we understand that the whole financial services, whether it's accounting or banking and finance, are going through transformation and being taken over by the new startups or the platform. But among all the areas, which areas of accounting as well as finance, which are going through the rapid transformation to watch out for? Because some of the jobs might become very obsolete. And it's important to understand that which segment will be relevant in the days to come and which segment will become obsolete. And some of students might be interested to know that.
I think jobs which are very routine based is bound to go away. So things like data entry, tellers, anything that you need to key in data, repetitive, all those are going away. So what are the jobs that are in demand in the future? Things that need analytical skills, things that you need a consulting skills that you can analyze and advise your client. So in the fintech industry, if you look at countries like the developed countries like US and Australia, so all these countries, they have their accounting software integrate with fintech, right? So give you an example, some of the like this solution, it can be integrated with loan disbursement software, right? And they can straight away analyze all this immediately by giving what's your debt ratio and all those, and tell you whether you qualify, how much and all those. But then you still need an accountant to advise you. Should you or should you not take up that loan, right? Or should you or should it not, perform spend on capital expenditure to purchase something, or should you go for another project, that kind of things. You still need those skills for each of the SME companies. And SME, small business, do not hire full-time accountant. They probably outsource or find a bookkeeper, which is data entry only at most. So going forward, all these skills that accountant has will be highly in demand. And the good thing is, like I mentioned, they can provide their service online. So long as you have all these higher level skill, they are still in demand. And it's not just within your area, right, that you'll be in demand. It can be anywhere in the world, so long as they can find you through online. And things that can be automated, what are the skills needed? So things that can be automated, you still need someone to analyze the data movement, right? I used to be an IT audit in KPMG, so that's what we did. We analyze the data, whether it's full flow through correctly and securely as well. You know, cybersecurity is very important nowadays, right? Anyone can hack you from anywhere in the world. That guy could be sitting in, let's say, Phuket, right, by the beach, and they can hack into your system just like that. One click of button, right? So some of my clients got hacked by this ransomware, and they are still they were using the what we call desktop accounting software, which is a legacy system. And who is protecting all those data? They themselves. But are they a cybersecurity expert? No, they are not. So what is the solution for this? The solution is to go towards software which they have a high cybersecurity policy practice, and you know, they spend a lot of money to protect it. And who will need to do all this job? All the cybersecurity experts, right? So there is an emerging role that is in demand for the next 10 years. Cybersecurity experts, data integration experts, system implementation. There's this new job called cloud transformation person or consultant. We are involved in this. So what we do is we help clients, SME, to identify the software that it is suitable for them, and then tell them how it works and how you should manage your operations by moving from manual to online. So apart from being an accountant, knowing debit, credit, and figures, you also need to understand all these things, how the data flow, how the process move, and how to change from manual to automation, from offline to online. So these are the things that will be in demand in 10 years' time.
Thank you, Chun Hao. On the same theme, many times I also get this question about how the machine will overtake human roles, you know. But I do tell my students and also my fellow people in the industry that one thing which machines will never replace is the intelligence. The human intelligence will be always relevant. How much machine we develop, even the machines are developed by human themselves. So human is always going to master that. So definitely those who are watching us out, look out for the key messages coming from this discussion. This is going to help you in your future transformation. I know we are keeping a time, observation of time here. We have 15 minutes to go, but just keeping one more area of the discussion which we were supposed to have. COVID-19, you know, this has become the norm of the world. I don't think any one of us can live without this word for not more than an hour. We have to look for the information and how it is changing the industry and so on. So coming back to all of you, and I will start with Vaiken first, that how does the COVID-19 has really impacted the overall financial services? It made it more resilient, or it has derailed the transformation, or it has increased the pace of transformation?
I think, yeah, from my area, I think what's interesting to note is how investors have actually reacted when the markets are affected by COVID, right? So it's very, very interesting because you see people's behavior in all its glory. And in March, when markets went down very quickly, a lot of people were very worried that this is going to be another global financial crisis. And at one point, it felt like it was going to be. Markets fell around 35% from the peak in February. And we saw a lot of people who were relatively inexperienced actually sell their portfolios and actually go to cash, which is understandable. But actually, we saw a lot of high net worth individuals, people who are very experienced, who experienced maybe the Asian financial crisis, the global financial crisis. We saw some of the biggest checks written to us or sent to us money in this period as well, because people know that when markets are down, that's the best situation to actually get in. So that's basically what we saw, because when it comes to investing, you really need to understand the risk, and it's very common for people to just go in blind. So when things go really bad, like it did in March, people really reacted in a very in a very panicked way, a lot of anxiety. So before you actually look at investing, this is more for consumer protection and more from a consumer angle as an investor. When you look to invest at time, there's a lot of noise and a lot of fads when it comes to investing. A lot of new platforms looking to do things in a different way, like fast money and all that. So, of course, pay attention to those as well, but really try and understand what risks go along with those new platforms. So coming back to the question, how did COVID actually impact the industry? I will say that people are still people, and they're still very, very emotional about their investing. So you as an investor need to really learn about controlling your spending, taking appropriate risks, and only investing in things you really understand. Don't just look at a fad and like crypto this and all that, and then just simply invest. And then when you lose your pants, you have no one to blame.
Ramnath, how do you see that accounting firms have been impacted? Did your work increase during this period, or it has been challenging period for the accountants in general?
I think it's a bit of both. Definitely, being a traditional firm, cash flow would always be impacted. But I think innovation also plays a key. For example, during these periods, we found that a lot of companies who hired in-house accountants actually found it to be burdensome for them in terms of cost, of course. So one of the suites that Versa offers is actually the outsourced CFO service, which is quite a new product in the market, where and partners such as I go to the firm and offer a role as an outsourced CFO. So in this way, it actually lightens the burden for some of our clients, because for them it's not a fixed cost. I mean, it is a fixed cost, but it does not burden them too much because it's on a contractual basis, as opposed to employing someone. Unfortunately, the downside of that is, of course, that more and more accountants may find themselves out of a job moving forward, because as much as it's a value add for the big firms, it could also be a cost center, you see. So in this, like Wyken pointed out, yes, there is always opportunity in unfortunately in distress as well.
Definitely.
So it's all about finding where that opportunity lies and how to maximize that for your own potential, for the company's potential.
Thank you, Ramnath. So now I understand that we are getting a lot of negative news, information about the bankruptcies, companies closing down, especially with the tourism and the hotel industries are going through that. So do you think that it has been a dreadful period during the COVID-19 in terms of the businesses going down? And what is your anticipation that when the businesses will be able to bounce out of this situation?
Well, to be frank, during the MCO, I spoke to quite a number of business owners, and some of them are still running on a traditional model where they need to meet the client face to face, right? So one example is I have this yoga training client. They've been doing yoga training inside the center, and all of a sudden they got stuck. So what do? So the minute I heard of it, straight away I advised them, why don't you go online? The minute you go online and you can run your yoga training online, that is where you will start collecting cash flow in, right? And true enough, the minute they go online, they have some cash. Of course, the sales is not as good as pre-MCO period, but they manage to survive with that, and they can continue after this once MCO is totally over. So going forward, businesses, I noticed any businesses that manage to go online, they are able to survive. So for example, F&B restaurant, there are quite a number closed down, right? But those restaurants who manage to, engage Grab, there's this latest one called Bibit from StoreHub and a few others. If they have this channel of sales, then they are able to survive. The next thing they need to do is just to manage their costs, right? They may be having a loss, but they still can maintain. So going forward, I believe in the next 6 months, it will go up very fast. Why? Because people are dying to spend money at home. People, they just can't take it staying at home, watching TV and, taking care of babies. They even work at home, which is good. Working from home is a good thing, nice thing to have. But if you have it every single day, you know, I was there every single day. I was dying to meet people. I want to talk to someone, right? So people are dying to spend money. If you look at, I think Singapore recently, I read a news. People are going out to shop like crazy because they can't go out and look at dresses, clothes, handbag, you name it. So they want to spend money. It will pick up very fast, but certain sector may struggle a little bit. But overall, it will be able to pick up within 6 months.
Thank you. So people who are depressed, thinking that the industry and the markets are not doing good, they are positive out here. In fact, I just want to supplement what Chun Hao said. I was reading an article yesterday. The amount of savings in US bank has increased by 2 trillion during the pandemic time. People were not spending at all. So everybody was, stashing the cash in the bank because they don't have an opportunity. And definitely it's always the survival of the fittest. So as you mentioned, those companies who went online or who are digitally enabled will get the opportunity to survive. And once you survive, definitely you will bounce back strongly. On that note, I think I will let the audience, if they have some burning questions to ask, we will have 10 minutes of Q&A, and please direct your question. At the moment, I have a question for Ramnath, which is Weng Yu Wong asking that how safe is digital accounting and what safeguard is there to protect the firm from breaches and cybersecurity liabilities? Ramnath?
Yeah, I think regarding the digital accounting space, I mean, digital accounting softwares are actually, how do you say, it can be done bespoke or it can be done off the shelf. So the safeguards that are there are mainly the fact that the data and all that cannot be accessed by anyone outside the assigned person that is going to be looking at the numbers. As to whether this would deter firms from adopting digital accounting, I think there is no way that digital accounting is the way forward. There are no two questions about that. I mean, I think you will remember, Professor, maybe 20, 30 years ago, Frank Woods and all that, opening the ledger, doing the ledgers up. I don't think that is practical anymore. At the speed at which things are changing, at how evolved everything is. I mean, yesterday's technology is obsolete today. So how quickly are we going? That is a question that needs to be answered. So as far as digital accounting is concerned, it is the way forward, I feel. And I'm a traditional accountant.
Yeah, definitely. You have another further question, Ramnath. Somebody is asking that, do you foresee a drop of accounting fees with digitalization in the industry?
I think moving forward, competition will be stiffer. Definitely competition will be stiffer between those who are adopting the digital approach. Digital approach, of course, has cost to it. So whether or not it is possible for accounting firms to drop fees and lowball each other, I don't think that is a very professional approach to take. But yes, it would impact the fee moving forward, because what could take maybe 3 people to do in 3 days can be done maybe by 0 people in a matter of an hour.
So will the graduates will be getting higher salary, or their salary will be also reduced?
Employers market. Not deter anyone from pursuing a career in accounting.
Thank you, Ramnath. Maiken, you have a question. Somebody is talking about the investment here. Thomas is asking that during this period, some of the company stock price is getting low. So what do you think about buying new shares at this period? And is now the time to buy stocks? Somebody want a free advice, Maiken?
Good. Always happy to give free advice. As long if you make money, you call me, you buy me lunch. If you lose money, you don't. And then I'm happy to give advice. But being in the investment space, obviously we get this question a lot, and I will answer it in two perspectives, because it really depends on how you want to invest. So if you have invested before, Thomas, and now it's a matter of timing, then I think it's better to actually average out your investments and not just go in now because it's low. If you look at the current market in US or in in Malaysia, actually markets have actually recovered quite a lot already. So instead of trying to time it and think like, oh, I picked the absolute bottom, or I don't go in because I'm at the absolute top, there's no way you can do that unless you can see the future, in which case you PM Tepi and you let me know about the future, okay? But otherwise, when it comes to stocks, just average in your investments, because if you're looking at blue chips, they are a safe bet. And the things you want to look for, being an accounting graduate, maybe a good chance to practice your accounting skills is actually to look at companies that have very good cash flow, very low debt / gearing, and look at companies that are still quite resilient in these times from a business model perspective. If you talk about Stashaway specifically, we don't really like the idea of picking stocks per se because it's not diversified enough. And the investing world, there's more than just stocks. There's stocks, bonds, gold, real estate, investment trusts, and all the rest. So something very, very diversified like ours is also a very good way to get into the habit of investing, especially because our minimum investment is very low, right? We don't have a minimum to begin. So to summarize, I think if you're into stocks, look for quality and don't think about timing it because it's virtually impossible. But if you're looking for a diversified portfolio, I think Stashaway is a good place to start.
Thank you. There's always a saying in financial world, there's always an opportunity in time of crisis. So you have to look out for those opportunities whenever it strikes. And definitely, it's always a movement of money from the loser to the winner. So definitely, at any point of time, there are some winners and some losers. It all depends on how do you anticipate the market. I think one more question is coming towards Weiken. One of my good friends from Germany, Mohammad Ashfaq, is asking, what kind of securitization challenge and opportunities fintech can offer, and how this will be managed from a fintech perspective?
I think it's a really great question. And securitization, obviously, the real question behind all of this is the quality, right? What kind of risk are you really packaging, right? Because we all know with the CDOs in the US in the financial crisis, if you package crap, you'll get crap, right? Pardon the French. But then what we see in fintech nowadays is actually with say P2P lending or equity crowdfunding is you can break down these different investing opportunities to bite-sized opportunities for anyone to invest. So I like to use the P2P example in this case because it's a real life example. So they have actually securitized accounts receivable and invoice financing to basically give you as an investor a chance to get a good return, maybe anywhere between 8 to 12%, but you're taking on SME risk, right? Obviously. So the quality is still a huge issue. So before you invest, you must understand the underlying structure of the product, whether it's just a matter of timing, you're not actually taking credit risk. You know that invoice financing is good for it. So it's just about getting paid from your accounts receivable. And then you're fairly secure that this will be the issue. This list of industries won't be affected. Maybe they're counter-cyclical, things like that. So what I've seen recently, very, very specific, is actually invoice financing as it relates to used cars. So used cars company is using this, the company is called Carsum. They are using funding societies to actually do invoice financing. So what Carsum does is basically it will, my lights turned off. What Carsum will do is basically it will take these pledges that the car company has already made, so that they will basically just bridge the financing when the money comes in. So you're basically taking no risk. You're not waiting on the dealer paying Carsum. It's just Carsum taking the car from the individual and passing it on to the dealer. So no problems in terms of getting your money back.
Thank you. I think we all are so much intrigued with the session. We don't want to stop it here, but I understand all of you have commitment and we only got all of you for 1 hour. So I understand that you have to go on for that. But before we close the session, I will just go around not the table, but go around the screen and ask for your closing thought. So Chun Hao, your closing thought on what the future will look like.
Well, as what I've seen for the last 20 years, the only thing that is constant is change, right? Every now and then, things will change, how you process, how you do things. So keep updating yourself in terms of knowledge in accounting and as well as IT, right? the professional in the future that are in demand will require not just accounting knowledge. You will require another additional skill, which could be IT, could be law, could be anything else. So keep updated of the change, and you will stay relevant.
Thank you, Chunhao. Ramnath, your closing thoughts, please.
I think moving forward, accountants need to embrace technology, and also accountants need to put themselves out there. Be it doing sales, be it doing anything, not just standing in the background. They should really put themselves out there. The students that are coming in now, I feel that you should give yourself take that risk. What's the worst that could happen?
So key thing is to take risk and get good return out of it. Why can your closing thought? Any incentive for people to invest?
Yeah, I'll share the incentive later on, but I think just some closing remarks for the students. I think growing up, you don't always know what you want to do. I think you're really blessed if you know what you want to do from a young age, but don't be pressured by your parents or your professors who are trying to like force you into a particular area. Be open-minded and listen to where your interests and passion really lies, and like the panelists have said, you gotta expose yourself, so you are basing your career decisions off of real examples, not just what people say. So also the technology has really brought upon so many opportunities out there. So you won't be casting shame on your family if you join an e-commerce company or a fintech company anymore. Last time as a young person, it's like you must join a bank or become a doctor or an engineer, otherwise you're a failure. Right now, if you join Shopee or Lazada or Grab or a fintech company or a bank, it's perfectly fine, because these are things we all experience with. They're great business models. So be very adaptable, put yourself out there, and don't get locked into like, oh, if I do finance means I must just do finance. So many applications, and it's one of the best paying jobs out there in the tech industry. You raise funds, you get paid for great talent, and then you get paid very handsomely as well. So since you asked, Professor, I didn't want to sell, but like since you asked, I think Stashaway recently we launched a new product out there. It's called Stashaway Simple. Basically, we are offering 2.4% with essentially no risk on any of your cash balances or your idle money lying around. So just Google Stashaway Simple. You're not taking much risk actually. And again, no minimum investment. So it's better than the FD rates. It's better than all of the CASA rates out there. 2.4% is actually a very good deal. And from this, then you can learn about all our other ETF portfolios. So for those of you who want to start, I think Stashaway Simple is a good way of doing so.
Thank you, Viken. Definitely, I will be looking forward for Stashaway Simple. And what I can conclude from the discussion that basically fintech is going to the future of accounting and finance. And those who are yet to embark on this journey, especially if you are in the area of accounting and finance and financial services, please do get in touch with me in APU or with any of our colleagues from the marketing, and we will be able to give you more information. Those who already have joined the journey with us, we wish you a very successful career ahead. On behalf of all the audience who are around 140 at one point of time, I would like to thank all the panelists, Viken, Chunhao, Ramnath. Thanks for your valuable suggestions, and we can see that most of the people here really learned a lot from your experience and how the industry is transforming. Hopefully, we can have one more session sometime soon to further build up on the discussion, because I think there are a lot of people who wanted to know more from you guys. So have a good day ahead and stay safe. And thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.